Can you name some countries that you would like to visit someday? I'll give you some time to think about it. Maybe you say Italy, Spain, London, or you probably even said the United States. What makes those countries different from your country? Think about any difference that you can find in between them. Give you some time to think about it. Okay? You may have said food, people, lifestyle, or even wages. All of these answers are correct. Perhaps my question was too broad. Let me narrow it down a bit. Think of native languages, for instance. Native languages that are found in Mexico. There are many, but just think of a few. Give you some time. You probably said Zapoteco, Tzotzil, or even Nahuatl. If you could grab both Spanish and Nahuatl and put them side to side, what is the difference that you would notice between them, or even find? There are many. Just take your time and think about a few differences that you could probably find between Spanish and some of the Nahuatl languages that we have in Mexico. You probably said words, the writing system, if it exists in any of them, and the most obvious, which is accent. All of these are true. For the sake of today's lesson, let's stick to something more general. It's vocabulary. Boy, in other words, let's stick to vocabulary just in general, or words. There is something I want to touch base with you today. Last week we talked about syntax. Today I'm going to introduce the term lexicology. Has anyone heard of the word before? The word lexicology? I know this word sounds scary, but it's actually not that bad. You will notice ahead of this lecture. So, what is lexicology? Have you ever heard that word lexi before? Have you ever read it somewhere? Have you ever heard it? Someone said it before? What about the word logi? Have you? Where? Have you seen them in school subjects? Well, just in case you say no, let me refresh your mind. You have seen the word logi in many school subjects such as ecology, sociology, microbiology, and neurology. And you have also seen it use the term in television programs. I've seen it come up many times. Words such as numerology, meteorology, and probably you even heard the word Scientology being used among Hollywood people in the past years. Let me tell you something about the word and see if you can figure it out. Lexicology derives from the word lexi, which is Greek, which means words. So what do we mean by lexi? What are we referring to? Words, exactly. Lexi means words, nothing else. But what about logia? Logia. Well, logia is a suffix that derives from logos, meaning speech or study. Remember, logia derives from the word logos, from the suffix. It's a suffix that derives from the word logos, meaning speech, study. So if we said the lexi means words and logia means speech, or you want to say or study, what could lexicology possibly mean? Based on what I just mentioned about what lexi or the or its meaning and what logia means, what can you conclude lexicology is then? Lexicology is the study of words. So lexicology is the study of words. You have seen the suffix in some of the subjects you took in school, like geology, biology. So if you wanted, you could add the suffix to something you are interested in and make up a new word. Say music and add to that logy. We would make or we would have lexicology, meaning the study of music. Musicology, the study of music. Now we can even go even further. Let's say you want to do the study of animals. Let's say cats. So you have the word cat, and you're gonna add logy to it, like lexicology, like biology, like musicology, and now the study of cats will be catology. So catology means the study of cats in terms of behavior. So the lexicology studies every word out there. So the question is, does lexicology studies all the words out there in the world? No. It mainly focuses on content words and not function words. Content words will be words that have a meaning like love, hate, invulnerable, immune, sweetless, movement, and not function words like prepositions such as under, next, or connection or connectors, and or but. While function words will be like prepositions, with, for, etc., that only signal grammatical relationship but does not have a meaning per se. So, what does lexicology does? It studies the vocabulary found in a language, the different forms they take, and their meaning. The relationship, in other words, the different words they take, and consequently their brand new meaning. One second. So there are some processes that occur in lexicology, but because of time restriction, we'll talk about a few of those processes. The first one is derivation, which you probably guess it comes from the word derive, which is obtaining or developing of something from a source or origin. It is the process of forming new words from an existing one. In this case, by adding a suffix. You might ask, what is a suffix? A suffix is a letter, number, or symbol added to the end of the word or root word. Before we move on, let's understand or define what we mean by root word. A root word is the most basic part of a word. This means that it cannot be broken down any further. So, an example that I want to give you is the word aqua, which is AQUA, aqua. You probably find some resemblance, as in the word Spanish agua, but aqua is the root word for agua. That's where it derives from. Agua derives from this Latin word aqua. And what we mean by root word is a word that cannot be broken down anymore. It's like, it's not if you take the A away, the QUA is going to mean something else. No. These four letters, as they are, cannot be separated. They're one unit and therefore cannot be broken down. It cannot, if we take the A away or the U from this side, we're not gonna end up with a different word. It's just one word. So in linguistics, a root word holds the most basic meaning of any word, It was left after remove all the affixes. Like I said, we cannot remove any letters from it, and we'll still have a base word. This is a base word as it is. Let's look at the word osamenta and what it's made of. But before that, actually, let's look another example. In this case, we're gonna look at the word conformity. If you want to translate it to Spanish, will be conformidad, conformity. And the root word is the most basic part of the word that we have from that, which is the word form. This is the root word from this word conformity. These words right here, the one in green and purple, which is con and id or ed, they are what is called affixes. We're gonna talk about them in a moment, but the root word from this word will be form. This is the root word. This is the most basic form that we can find for this. So conformity, the root word is form, and if you can guess what form is, just means shape. That's what it means. So now, going back to the lecture, we're gonna look at the word osamenta and what is the word made of. Ossa comes from the Latin word which means bones. Ossa will be what? A root word, ossa. Remember, we're looking at the word osamenta, but if we only take the root word, the most basic part of it will be ossa, which means word, and it comes from Latin. Now, the suffix menta, suffix. When we talk about suffix, we're talking about the letters added to the end of the word. In this word conformity, the suffix will be ity. This will be the suffix. Remember, form is the root word, and ed, conformity, the ed part, this part right here, the purple part, will be the suffix. Now, the suffix menta in osamenta means a group or set of. So when we say in Spanish osamenta, we mean the skeleton or the bones of a skeleton. Now, let's look at another word. Let's say vestimenta. Already broke it down to vestimenta for the word vestido, which means clothing, or vesti, which means what? Clothing. So it's a group of clothes, all of that makes up of what you're wearing. So in other words, what a person wears, it can be one or many items composition of the pieces that he's wearing. Having words and adding a suffix to it gives it a total different meaning. Something much simpler, take for instance the word sugar. We know it's sweet, and that is what it means, or what we understand it to be. By adding the suffix less, as in sugarless, we understand to mean without it. So sugarless will be without sugar or sweetness. An example of sugarless will be black coffee. The second process I want to talk about is composition. As you probably guessed, it comes from putting words together. So in this case of using a suffix at the end of the root word, we are going to use a prefix. Instead of using at the end, we're gonna, as the word says, or prefix, which is gonna come before the root word. It means that we'll be adding a morpheme before. It can also be joining two root words as well. So let's take for the sake of time, let's move really quick. We're gonna take the word grato plus the prefix, meaning it comes before, in. So in this case is the prefix, and it has a negative connotation. Ingrato means grateful, if you want to think about it. So ingrato would be not grateful. Let's look at another one really quick. Is prehistoria or prehistory. Or probably something less obvious, pre-existencial or pre-existential, which means before existing. Prehistoria, before history. Another one would be posponer, which is from the word post, which is to put after, to put after. So to put after, in other words, to put off, to change dates. Um, last part we're gonna look at this is the last process of lexicon is to talk about parasynthesis, which means having a prefix and a suffix at both ends of the root word to come up with a new one. Let's look at the word really quick. The word independencia. Um, in the prefix in plus lexim, or the root word depend, and the suffix encia. Remember that in the word we looked before, ingrate or ingrato, it has a negative connotation as in not grateful. So here in depend has a negative connotation as well. Remember the word depend means to depend on. So by having in with depend means not to depend on, not dependent. Now, what about the suffix encia? Encia means the quality of. In other words, independencia means to be free from. So if you are 18 years old and independent, then you are free from your parents, not being dependent. As let's take another words, as in excelencia, we will say having the quality of excellence, of being great. Exhibere comes from Latin, which means uh, to show in public. So ex more than outwards, hibición, action. Hebere, which means tener, having to. So if we take the word exhibicionista, we come up with the we understand that what is this means is someone having the need to show themselves to other people to look at. So in other words, there is people that have that need for other people to look at them. But in this context, it means they have the need for other people to see them naked. Now, with this, I want you to break down the following words and figure out what they mean. If you have if you come across this YouTube video, take a look at the word ventilador, the word inmundo, and the word ventilador, inmundo, and compadre. Look at those three, and if you have time underneath where the comments go, try to write down what you found out about them. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.